and hotel to authenticate that it is me. Uh, yeah, it's your yuck mouth friend. All right, this is what the real Aileen Atkins looks like after years of being subjected to voodoo, love bombing, what else? Gaslighting. This is what I've allowed them to reduce me down to. So my theme song is, and this is an original, dumb bitch, dumb bitch, dumb bitch, dumb bitch, dumb bitch, dumb bitch. You let a nigga use you, dumb bitch. You let him confuse you, dumb bitch. Dumb bitch, dumb bitch, dumb bitch. Dumb bitch, dumb bitch, dumb bitch. I'm talking about myself. God was trying to warn me. So let's just review yesterday. After I left, 111. After I left here, finishing up my live and bagging up some trash, I jumped on my bike to go and get food. And it took over an hour to get over there, even though I own a 2006 Buick LaCrosse, a 1999 Astro van, that's my flea market van, and a 2011 Dodge Caliber that was given to me by Lawrence Alexander Cambridge. I have access to none of my vehicles. Even though I've been given property, I have access to none of my properties. Even though I have money, I have access to none of my money. So, living off of the alms of the universe by way of church pantries and feeding ministries is how we basically are making it. That's why you see the cover dirty. When the cover gets dirty like this, we put it in a corner to wash it, and we usually end up burning it or throwing it away and getting new cover from the church because money is hard to come by. The people that are stealing my money, they don't share my money with me because, from what I'm hearing through YouTube, once you violate a person, you cannot help them because the goal is to use you to siphon your energy, your wealth, your resources, and ultimately kill you and sell your organs and make more money off of you. So they have a system where they don't waste anything. Evil genius is what I call it. So as I was riding, I'm noticing the pattern of the cars. I move slow sometimes because God says move slow. The olive green Dodge Charger met me a couple of times and I waited because I have extended myself to people who might want to come, tell me what they did to me, hand me an IOU, tell me that they put me and my children in their will so that when they die, I'll get paid back for what they did to me. Maybe they want to give me a house since they still in houses. Maybe they want to give me a vehicle since they still in vehicles, to try to atone for the things that they've done. So because I've extended myself, I'm looking and just trying to see the energy and the posture of the people. Nobody's getting out to like say, hey, I come in peace. I just wanted to say, I did this and I apologize and will you forgive me? Whatever. So the olive green Dodge Charger encountered me a couple of times and I just slowed down to look. And it didn't seem like they were trying to get out and say anything. So I continued on my journey. They may be trying to like intimidate me, stay home because if you keep talking shit and moving around and he doesn't, said you were dead or retarded or on drugs and a prostitute and crazy, you're proving us wrong and that may hem us up. I don't know. But dumb people, if you all are going to hem somebody up and try to put them in isolation, dodos, isolation is best effective if you at least give them what they need to be comfortable in isolation. When you starve people out, fools, they're going to come out to get what they need. That's called self-preservation. And I know you all are not thinkers, Because if you were thinking, you wouldn't make a deal with the devil, a powerless con artist. I mean, what is, how is he going to give you power when he has to get his power from someone else? And I meant, he can give you some, but the ultimate power lies with the Creator. And even though when you're in allegiance with the Creator, things move slow, sometimes they seem like they're not moving at all. It's your sure shot. Amen. So as I continued on, there were other cars that were swooping past me fast, like they were trying to knock me off the bike and up into the air. But thanks to the netters, they were like, hey, don't go that way. So I picked the bike up and flipped that bitch around and about faced it. And then I encountered the mailman. And I'm mad with those evil trifling motherfuckers, because how you give my mail to other people? How do you give my checks and my living trust mail to other people for money? So I'm so thankful that God has helped me to understand that people ain't shit. When you go to the court, you see them in that black robe, ain't shit. That attorney standing next to you ain't shit. You ain't shit. The people you walk past ain't shit. The doctors in them white coats ain't shit. All waiting for an opportunity to make some extra cash to lay down their loyalty, to breach their oath. Now, if you meet an earth angel, then praise God, you have met you a phenomenal entity. But how often does that happen? I mean, these people got this thing so tight that, the possibility of your children forsaking you is likely. And that's the way you need to see it. If you are trying to get on earth angel status, it's you and God. Everybody else outside of that circle may be willing to forsake you for some money, for some trips, for a car, a house. And things are getting rough. Yes, they are. But God is doing the shakedown. I don't know if you've ever seen like the Bible stories where they're, what do they call it? Chafing the wheat. They have a little basket and it has holes. And the light stuff, I think it's called chaff. You shake it and shit falls away. But the wheat remains. So we're working to be wheat around here. And I have been forced to recognize that just because you bear a child and you raise them and you do the best you can, God knows I've made many mistakes as I am airing my business. You see, okay, in 2012, this person I tried to link up with and marry. In 2015, I tried this person. And I guess it might even embarrass my children. I didn't have the intelligence, like I told you yesterday, to marry early. Early on, I had the opportunity to marry, and God was trying to lift me out of the bowels of hardship and being abused, and I didn't take it. So guess what? I'm finishing up my 40-year wilderness trek. But again, dumb bitch, dumb bitch, dumb bitch, dumb bitch, dumb bitch, dumb bitch. You let a nigga use you. Dumb bitch. You let him confuse you. Dumb bitch. So even as a child, I train my children. I mean, you can. You can think for yourself. I can tell you something, but if God tells you that ain't right, you go with God. And you have to stand against your parent. If God tells you to stand against your parent, I train my children that way. I am here to guide you, but I'm not God. And so that way I don't have to be responsible for your bad choices. You have to, sit down and think with God and say, well, Am I supposed to be doing this? Am I supposed to be doing that? That's on you. Sure. I have a way that I want my children to be. I want you to take care of your teeth, and I want you to be an upstanding citizen. I do. And I want you to have at least a bachelor's degree. My children know that if you came out of my womb, even though I ain't saying it to you, I am praying a degree over your life. Not only that, I'm putting money to the side so you can, after you finish your work, there's money to pay for your part-time education. And if you're doing well every week, you get a little financial perk for going to class, for doing your homework, for trying hard to pass. And when you get your bachelor's degree, there's a financial perk there. So I don't sit down and say these things to my children, but yeah, that's what we got going on because I believe that if you spend time developing your entire self, not just your mind, your soul, your spirit, your body, you're going to be better able to serve humanity, serve the Creator. Now, I was just plugged into tarot and I've dealt with my disappointments and I've kind of tried to make peace with them and get back into this material world. So I don't watch tarot the same way I used to. And she said the name Yvette. And I remember this time last year, a fake police officer came here and he's like, "Oh, do you take care of Mr. Fred?" And he was asking me questions and I'm like, this ain't no police officer. He had on a police officer uniform, but I'm pretty certain he was not a Tampa police officer. But I just couldn't bring myself to believe that there are people who have the audacity to put on a uniform and fake like they're a police. So when he came here, I took him over to, let's see, not Fred's house next door, but the guy that lives next door to Fred in the light blue house. And he said, yeah, a lot of people get their mail here, Yvette Bright. For some reason, he said Yvette Bright. But I said, well, this man is trying to get in touch with Fred. He said he's supposed to be doing a well check for Fred. And the man said, knock on the door. His sister Sonia's there. And so the man next to Mr. Fred, not on the side we're on the other side, he put on his coat and stuff and came with the police. And they were banging on the window or door to try to get in touch with Sonia, said Sonia. So yesterday, as I was going to the pantry, after I got off the bus to get to the pantry, and I made it through all of the mazes of cars and trucks that were following me, and a couple, I believe, trying to hit and kill me on the bike. I made it through that maze and got to the bus stop. As I was riding to the church pantry, I saw a black Honda that resembles the car that's at Fred's house quite often. And I thought it was his sister Sonia, but she never introduced herself to me as Sonia. Just one day out by the trash can, I said, "How is Mr. Fred?" And she said, "Mr. Fred died." And I was like, "What? Should I say that, God?" And I assumed that was his sister. So it looked like the same car. Now I'm over Fletcher and like, well, 140th, something like that. And the car stopped. So since the car stopped, I stopped. When I think that my life is in danger, the way I move is I'm trying to watch as much around me as I can. So since the car stopped, like in the middle of the street, I stopped because it seemed like they were waiting for me to ride past them. Ride past them and what? Shoot me? Say something to me? I don't know. But since I didn't know, I just stopped and waited. They saw me stop and they continued on. So I just stood there and waited, and they continued on. And basically, when I didn't see them anymore, I started pedaling again. So I go and get my wares, and the little bike that I bought from Sunshine Thrift, everything is moving. I mean, my handlebars keep scooting. Somebody done broke some of the spokes on the bike, so the wheel is wobbling, and there's hardly any air pressure in the tires. And I leave it like that because people will like break glass and throw it all over the street because they want you to pop your tires. And if you leave your tires underinflated, they're less likely to pick up the glass and pierce the inner tube, and then you don't have to worry about flats as readily. So I make it there, I get the food, I'm trying to make it back, but things just keep falling apart. I got a lot of cranberries because they clean out your urinary tract. And my two girls and my son loves cranberry sauce. Well, the twins, a moon and a set, my boy girl twin, they love cranberry sauce. And so I got the real cranberries, and I was going to tell them, boil them down, sweeten them, and you can make your own cranberry sauce. Not only that, you can make cranberry sauce Kool-Aid. That's what I do. Cranberry sauce tea. Boil it down until it's soft, sweeten it, have cranberry sauce tea, and then you eat the flesh of the cranberry. And because I overdo things, the last time I got cranberries was this time last year, and I got like 10 bags of cranberries, and I was eating them, putting a little sugar on them and just eating a bag of cranberries. And then my whole womb started like hurting. So it had to be, was that last year? Because I remember telling John Waldron, and he was like, why would you take so many in? And, John Waldron is like talking to a doctor. He's going to give you the technical name of what's in the cranberry and what's happening in your system. And that's one of the reasons I really miss talking to John Waldron. But even when people can help you, if they're hurting you, it doesn't make sense to be helped and hurt at the same time. So I I mourn the loss of that relationship, but I don't like it when people use me. So I remember that conversation I had with Mr. John about the cranberries. So I got a bunch of them, and I got a bunch of coffee, even though the coffee tastes terrible. When I'm out and about and I take a couple of sips, it makes me really happy. That caffeine just, woo! I mean, like in 60 seconds, it's in my system, and I'm already feeling like I want to dance. And caffeine has its negative aspects too. But when I'm out moving, I just deal with it. I'm going to sip the coffee if I have it. So I got a bunch of it, and I'm struggling with the box. So as I'm making my way away from the church and the corner, there's a guy standing there. I don't know why he's standing there. He's standing there like he's waiting on an Uber or something. He asked me a question, and I can't remember what it was, but I said, can you help me reposition this box onto my handlebars? But on the handlebars is a reflector, so I couldn't sit it on top of there. And I kept trying to put it up there, and the handlebars kept twisting, the wheel kept twisting. I'm like, this is a little death trap. But when it was in the thrift store, it didn't seem that way. So now I'm wondering, when did somebody have access to come and adjust my bike? Like unscrew that shit so while you ride, your front wheel come off. And I thought about a couple of times where I was at the feeding ministry under the bridge, and people come stand close to the bike, and then at Britain Plaza, there was this guy, he kept touching the bike. So I'm like, So, okay, you got to stay close to your bike. That's just all to it. Bring it in the store if you can. Oh, when I was at Sam's Club, it fell out of the trunk of the people's car. So maybe that's what happened when it fell out of the trunk of the car, leaving Sam's Club in Brandon. Maybe that's when it all took place. So he says, okay, wait here. He says, well, that's where I'm trying to find the pantry. I said, well, it's right there. They're closed, but go and ask them. So he came back with a Sprouts bag with, the little holiday bags that people pay for it and then put it in the bin to help the needy. And it had like cereal and it had organic Annie's, one of my favorite, macaroni and cheese, white cheddar and like sharp cheddar. And then it had like fruit roll ups and a box of cereal. And I think that's everything that was in there. I didn't open it. I gave the 2 bags that were given to me to one of my children, along with a couple of packs of turkey. I kept the onions, even though I wanted to force the child to boil the onions and drink onion tea. I can't force children to do anything. Last night we were drinking herbs to help strengthen your liver. And this Angola, she just refused to drink it. And I don't know how to make her. Oh, I need some cash. If I say I'll give you $5, if you drink it, she'll definitely drink it because she loves to go get her buy one, get one free Whoppers from Burger King or the $3 Whoppers on Wednesdays. And I don't know if they do that. We haven't been to Burger King on Wednesday for the $3 Whoppers this year, but today is $3 Whopper day. Yeah, today is Wednesday. So he goes and they give him a bag. He comes back and he's like, it's not going to work. And he says, where are you going? I said, I need to go get back on the bus up here at Fletcher. He said, well, I'm going that way, so I'll go get a buggy and we can put it in the buggy. You push your bike and I'll push your grocery. So I'm like, wow, okay. And this is a person I don't know. He just appeared out of the blue. And I said, wow, look at God. If you try to get out and help yourself, he will definitely send you help. So we're walking back up towards Fletcher. I stopped into Amscott to buy a bus pass. They said we don't sell bus passes anymore. They're going digital. And I said, okay. So I get to the bus stop. He parts ways. I said, do you have a cash app? Because I can send you a couple of dollars when I get it. And he said, yeah, don't worry about it. I said, okay, well, may your blessings return 100-fold. And I continued on. Oh, we had a conversation because there was a really large truck at the pantry. And for some reason, I thought it was Thomas Stewart. And I mean, it's one of those high off the ground. But I'm thinking, Thomas Stewart is heavy. How the fuck would he get up there? But Thomas Stewart is a military man. So people like that, they have tenacity. They do what the fuck they need to do and they will make it happen. So for some reason, I thought Thomas Stewart and Letitia were in that black truck. When I made eye contact with the truck, and when I say that, I mean energetically speaking, when they recognized that I saw them, whoever drove the truck sped off quickly. And I was saying to him, like, I don't know, I feel like he has people following me. And I'm talking about how I was willing to trust my life in this man's hand to marry him. But he offered me cocaine. Not once, not twice, but 3 times. And it kind of traumatized me because I didn't expect it. And I was listening to the gaslight. He was like, oh, yeah, Jesus, God, Jesus, God, Jesus, God, Jesus, God. And I was listening to his talk. And he never tried to push up on me and have sex with me. Can I say this part? Yes. So even though I would go to his house and masturbate because at my house I had a whole bunch of children and I lived in the living room. That's my favorite room to sleep in. So I had no privacy. So if I was sexually agitated, I was not having sex. So I didn't have anywhere where I could relieve myself. So when I went to hang out with Thomas, I could soak in the tub and I could freely masturbate. I think he recorded me and I think he put it on the dark web. I don't know for sure, but that's another reason I'm very angry with him if he did that to me. But whenever I went there, he never tried to sexually advance on me and he didn't like hound me. Like, come on, I want to have sex. I want to. He didn't do that to me. And then he on the Jesus talk all the time. So I thought, okay, wow, maybe this, is a good guy. So why did I tell you that I went so far that I lost my point? Reconnect me, God, with the point I was trying to make. So the gaslighting, that's why I guess it threw me off because I had bought into this whole he's a Christian and I guess you can still be a Christian and be making mistakes. So I can't take his Christianity away from him because he offered me drugs. But the way he did it, like, hey, try this. And it's like, no, no, thank you. I told you both of my parents drank alcohol. And to me, they were alcoholics. So I feel like I might be predisposed to being an addict if I try something. So I don't try anything so that I don't get addicted to anything. So if he tells you no, I think you should go with the no. But then he says, come on, you handle it. So this is time number 2. And I'm like, no. And then he hit me with, you don't trust me? So I had to laugh. Because it's like, are you trustworthy? You sitting here trying to get me to try some shit I ain't tried in 40 something years because it's addictive. And I got kids. Shit, every little bit of money I get, I need to be putting it towards my children. I ain't got no motherfucking extra money to be trying to try no damn cocaine. So this is what I said to him. I said, what if I want more? He said, oh, that's no problem. I always have it around. And then I said, what if I want an 8 ball? And his eyes bucked and he's like, he sat up. He's like, what you know about an 8 ball? I said, I watch TV. And then he said, oh, no, no. If you want an 8 ball, you're on your own. You're on your own. And that hit me because when you're married, you're never on your own. It's, to do us part. And I guess I'm still telling the story because I want Thomas to admit that he did this to me and to talk about it. Use this as a platform within the Christian church and talk about how the devil can bamboozle us and get us off our path. And then we try to pull other people off their path. I don't want him to be trying to shut me up because I'm embarrassing him. I want him to join me and other Christian people to show how tricky the devil is. This is nothing to be ashamed of because we're in this human fleshly body and man, this flesh, when it doesn't get what it wants, it can be stupid and we can all make stupid ass mistakes in the twinkling of an eye. That's how I got my last baby. I thought I was so spiritually strong. I had been celibate for 3 years and I'm going to pull over and help a man walking to church. Abraham, my last baby daddy. And then I started just hanging out, talking to him, encouraging him. And what was I listening to? The Road Less Traveled, Anthony Robbins. Back then, it was cassette tapes. This was back in, let me see, my daughter was born in 2010. So I guess I met Abraham in like 2008. So that was right around the time because he was coming to hang out with me and Sensei. I had just reconnected with Sensei because I met Clarence in the late 90s at USF at the Wednesday Bull Market, the USF Bulls Market on campus, him and his two wives, Ama and Asia. And we got disconnected in some kind of way. We got reconnected. I think it was through Natalie and them. They set me up to wet me up, basically. But that didn't happen. So he came over one day and he said, "Hey, you want to have sex?" And I said, "No." And he left my house. But when he left, all I could think about was sex. And I'm like, what is happening? Why is this happening now? Abraham was, playing the Christian card too. So the next time he came over, I said, "Remember what you asked me if I wanted to have sex?" I said, "Yes, I want to have sex." And just like that, the devil took me back down that pathway. And I ended up pregnant, and he ended up saying it wasn't his. And I didn't have sex with anybody else. For 3 years, I hadn't had sex. And that turned out to be a bad choice. But see how quickly the devil just said one little phrase. I said no. And then after he left, I was thinking about the last time I had sex and replaying it in my mind and everything. And so we all can be taken off path, especially when we think that we have power. And I thought that I was a strong Christian because I had conquered fornication, that I wasn't having sex. But that was God's strength. And in my own strength, I didn't have the ability to resist a man that, I mean, he had been coming over to my house and I had been visiting him. Maybe, I can't remember the time span, but probably about 4 months. But we weren't in a committed relationship. And here I am laying my Christianity to the side to fulfill a physical desire. I didn't even have the intelligence to masturbate and release some of that energy so that I could continue to keep a man's penis out of my body. And that turned out not to be a wise choice. Um, should I say more? No. So I really, I guess Thomas had me fooled. I really thought he was a great person, and that's what's throwing me off, and that's what's pissing me off. And I guess that's why I keep talking about it so much. The people that I believed in, and I didn't believe in everybody that came my way because I don't hardly talk about Abraham. I was helping him. I helped him do his resume for the VA. He ended up getting the job at the VA hospital. And I met his Tony, Toni, his female cousin, maybe. And we hit it off and we sort of kind of started hanging together, but I haven't talked to her in like decades. Ended up going to their little events on holidays. His mom is a great cook, and I thought she was a friend to me until I ended up getting pregnant by her son, and she turned out to be a real witch, um, and treating me very poorly, and her granddaughter, my daughter. So, but to whom much is given, much is required. So that's my fault. But for the people that I really believed in, Donnie Dwayne Flowers, he fooled me. Um, Thomas Stewart. I don't know. Those two stick out to me. The other people, I don't know. It was kind of like I didn't feel really too much. But Donnie and Thomas, I was pretty much devastated by the things that transpired in our relationship because I really thought they were my friends. And maybe they tried, but the tragedies and the things that they were going through proved to be too much temptation. I'm very easygoing, and when I trust you, I let my guard completely down, and they couldn't resist taking advantage of me. And Lawrence, I really trusted, even though I didn't know Lawrence for that long of a period of time. When I came over and asked him if he would please take me to get a box of chocolate, and he let me drive his car. And Donald Ross taught me drive 5 under the speed limit, and I took that to heart, and it made me a much safer driver. And Mr. Lawrence liked the fact that I took my time driving, and he ended up trusting me. And when I told him about what was happening at my house, he said, "Well, you can come here and, sit in the living room, sleep, and be in safety." And for a couple of weeks, I just went there after JJ dropped me off and sped off into the sunset. And I was praying, God, you got to deliver me from JJ and from Anthony Atkins, because Anthony had moved back to our childhood home at 6010 North 32nd Street. And every time I came there, he started arguing with me for me to argue back. And I'm just finding out now that he was exciting a riot so that he could record my rebuttal. He didn't record him calling us motherfuckers and niggas. He only recorded when we responded back to him and started cursing him out or talking with him harshly so that he could get some kind of power of attorney or some kind of mental labeling on my children and I. Angola was very vocal, and I was very vocal, and God told me to bridle my tongue, and I didn't have the ability to force my flesh to be quiet. And so it cost me a lot. They have put me in a fraudulent marriage, used a fake death certificate to take from me houses, inheritances, cars. They evicted me and 4 of my children and my nephew Alex, June 2nd, 2022. And that's how I ended up out here in the world, finding out about how people will use you and your children. And so if people saw me walk into Lawrence's house, I'm sure they thought we were doing something sexual, but we weren't. Mr. Lawrence was just rescuing me from danger. And I really appreciated that. But when my family started to come to Mr. Lawrence's house, I cautioned him not to get involved with those people because they ain't right. And Mr. Lawrence came in one day and he said, "Oh, well, I'm going to have to stop helping so many people. I'm going to take care of you and your girls." And I thought, wow, that's interesting. Because again, I didn't go to Mr. Lawrence's house for no relationship. I was trying to like, hey, can you let me clean up around here, mop something, wash something, sweep something, and you give me a little $50 a week or something. I just need help and I don't know. You're old, you look like you need help, and I need help. And that was the beginning. So when he came in one day and said, "Well, maybe I'll marry you," I'm like, this is weird because it just came in out of the blue. We didn't sit down and have no conversation like, "I'm really enjoying your company. I really like you being here." It didn't happen like that. He just came and started making declarations. And I wasn't doing shit and I was looking to be cute. So I was going with the flow like, okay, sure. But I had a conversation with that motherfucking Letitia Karima Penn. And I said, "I'll be able to pay you back. I'm going to help my friend get money that's owed to him." And he said he'll give me 50% of whatever I help collect. So when I said that to her, I guess that perked up her ears because she loves money. She's an earth sign. And I didn't see the perky ears. And behind the scenes, people started tearing down my relationship before it could even begin. And Mr. Lawrence would like give me $100 pretty much on Friday, and I started paying back everybody at the flea market, giving them their money back. And Letitia's looking at us like, this bitch got money and she just walking around here paying people back, taking them and shit. And so it interested her. And I believe she made her way around that corner because she's friendly with everybody at the flea market. She knows Veronica Davis. Veronica Davis is Lawrence's childhood friend, and they live across the street from each other. So I didn't know that shit. Letitia wasn't my motherfucking friend. This bitch at my house eating my food. I done spent the night with her. She done spent the night with me. When Angola was small, she became her godmother. When I was in college, I would drop Angola off to her so that I could go to class when I was doing the paralegal classes at night. I helped her get into the paralegal program with me at HCC, and I thought she was my friend too. Turns out she wasn't no friend. She was an opportunist waiting to, fuck a bitch over. And so when he told me one night, you don't have to go back over there. You don't have to go back over there. I said, okay. So I started sleeping at Mr. Lawrence's house, which is maybe one full block away from my house. So I told the girls I'm going to sleep at Mr. Lawrence's house so that Anthony is not always fighting with me. And if I'm not here, maybe he will not be fussing and arguing. So we did that. That shouldn't last but about 2 months before everything just blew up. 2 months at the most. So the girls would come down to Mr. Lawrence's house, take a bath because we were having plumbing problems. We had to go to the street and use that little T device to turn the water on and off. I believe because Anthony sprayed something on the shower knobs and froze them so that we couldn't turn it. So we went out to the street. We had to turn the water on and off if we wanted to take baths and stuff. Now, the blessing in that is the water bill went down tremendously. But the inconvenience of us having to go to the street to turn the water on and off was a bit annoying. So when the girls came down to Miss Lawrence's house, they could just jump in the shower. I cooked them, and they would come down there and pick up the food and take it back. And on Sundays, they would come and we would have Sunday dinner at Mr. Lawrence's house. The girls, Lawrence and I, would sit down at the table and have a little chit chat, and it felt really good. Right before it all blew up, July 4th of 2020, I said, wow, this feels so good. It feels too good to be true. I hope I'm not dying. And it was just such a euphoric feeling. It felt so wonderful to be a part of a family with a man who was easygoing and seemed to be happy to be in my presence and company. When I told him the girls were coming down, he always said, oh, good. He would tell me to go pick up dogs. We had little small chihuahuas and bring them down and let them hang out. He enjoyed having the puppies. And somebody outside of our arrangement started complaining and broke down what we had. And I said to him, let's just move to Indian Rocks Beach and get away from here. And he said, yeah, that's not going to solve the problem. That was after he had a conversation with a lady I guess he had dated. She called and asked him for $30. And to this day, I really wish I would have told him, let's get that lady that money. And what I said was, well, the first is tomorrow. She can't wait until she get her check tomorrow. And he told her no. And the lady went off on him. And you should have told me before I came from, Mississippi, Alabama, wherever, Louisiana. I can't remember where she came from. You should have told me, you done met a little girl and you moved her in. And she said, do you know I will kill you? And I was like, whoa. I think the lady's name was Mark. And when he got off the phone with her, I said, Lawrence, do you think she's serious? Will she really kill you? Do we need to call the police? He said, "Oh, yeah, no, I don't know." And he said to me, "The only reason I told her no was because of you." And so maybe he started having crossed feelings about how his life was going to change if he connected with me. Because that's pretty serious when somebody you know tells you, you know, I will kill you. And you got to wonder whether or not they mean it or not. And the next time you see them, you got to wonder. But he did something that I disagreed with. This lady that he used to date, she drove a ivory colored Mercedes, and she came to visit him, and he said let her in. So she came in, and I was like, "Hi, how are you?" I mean, I'm friendly. I understand that when you get involved with somebody, you need a little time to close the doors and let the old people that used to come visit you know that, hey, yeah, no, I'm really done with you. I got me somebody and I'm going to lock down. So you don't have to keep coming and checking to see if it's real. It's real. So I understood that he needed a little time to inform all of his prior visitors. And I was doing the same thing. Okay, yep, I'm really not coming over here no more. I'm really in something that I want to be in. And sometimes those people go into voodoo and roots on your relationship because it's like, yeah, you think you done. Child, please, I'm finna fuck this up for you. But I didn't know nothing about that in 2020. So, oh, this lady, yeah, we're getting married. We're getting married. Now, he ain't say it to me. So it's like, why is he saying this to this lady? Maybe he wanted to make her feel jealous. Maybe he really wanted to be with her, but she wasn't acting right. She wasn't treating him right. She was treating him like the jewel that he was. And he's going to use me to manipulate her. Because I'm like, we're going to get married. Why are you telling this lady this? And I'm looking at her like, feel like he put me in a dangerous position because he's telling her that they're getting married. Now, I already know that this lady see him as a cash cow from what he told me about the car loan, and he paid the car loan off for her. He was like, "Oh, I'm going to commit suicide if I don't get my car loan paid off," something like that. And he paid the $1,500 that she owed the car loan people so she could keep her car. And she's an older woman, but she kept herself up nicely. She, did the typical things, the makeup, the big body, bright jewelry, and, the cute clothes. And then her Mercedes be in good repair. So, but he said she was always criticizing people and fussing. He called her the banner rooster. And he seemed to be happy to get rid of her. I don't know. That's what he told me. So all of that was going on. And in our conversations, he let me know that he kind of got around. He dated up and down the street there. So I thought, okay, well, I know what that's like. I'll give it a little time for him to clear everybody out and get the message across to them that there's a new sheriff in town, being me. I'm a laissez-faire kind of person. I'm not jumping in your face. We ain't fighting over no man. That's never going to be. Well, I don't ever say never, so, but that's not my personality type. So one day I'm sitting on Veronica Davis, his neighbor across the street, his childhood friend, house, and a lady pulls up. I think her name was Lisa, and they used to date or whatever. And Veronica and I are sitting there talking, and he's like, "You need to go over there and say something." I'm saying, "Say what?" Lawrence is a grown ass man. Lawrence know how to handle himself. Shit, if he want to go and have sex with that lady, then that's on him. If he gonna tell that lady, "Hey, I got somebody," that's on him. I'm not finna run over there like no damn child and try to police that conversation. He's a grown ass man. He know what he told me. So if he's serious about his commitment to me, I don't have to be following him around to make sure he remembers what he told me. No, no, no. So basically, I didn't let her put me in no predicament where I'm finna go over there like no damn teenager fighting over no man. And she went in there, and whatever happened, happened, and she left. And eventually, I walked back over there and just continued to live. But all of that was taken away before July 4th. But July 4th was when it manifested. I came back from the flea market. He told me to go somewhere with Veronica Davis, and it's like, no, some yard sale across from River Pines that her friend Connie's daughter's husband was having. You know, like when you do a job, you have leftover little bits and pieces from the renovations or whatever. And I ain't trying to really renovate nothing, so I'm not interested in none of this shit. But God told me don't go, and I listened to Lawrence over God. So I'm in Veronica's big black Denali, thinking, what is going on? I thought they were trying to hurt Lawrence. So I was trying to protect Lawrence, but I think they were trying to hurt me. And God was trying to protect my dumb ass. And I don't know what happened, but I know something happened because when I came back to the house, Lawrence said he was not feeling well. I asked him if somebody came there. He said yes. I asked did he eat or drink something. He said yes, and he wasn't feeling well. So I was like, oh shit, they done poisoned this man. What did they do? And I was feeling like it was my fault because before he met me, he was doing just fine. But now that he met me, Alva done came down to his house. Ava done came down to his house. My brother Anthony done came down to his house. And I wondered if James Johnson had done sent somebody around there because he was upset because I was no longer Netflixing and chilling with him. But James Johnson already knew. I told him I want to get married so that I could try to set an example for my children and see if I can save them. And he said he wasn't interested in getting married. I said, okay, well, that's fine. I'm going to continue to come and hang out with you, but just know that I'm shopping for a husband. So he wasn't shocked by me finding somebody. He knew I was looking. But he's still disappointed. And he was like, I knew it. Okay, well, of course you knew it. You know, eight, maybe it was around 6 billion people in the world at that time. But I told you I was looking. I told you I would continue to look despite the fact that I'm Netflix and chilling with you. So you ain't got to be shocked how much you knew it. You knew it was coming. You just didn't know when. So to shorten a long story, Lawrence came down with the sickness. If this is real, he might have been pretending the whole time. The lady next door, Carolyn, started calling over and being very intrusive in a way that she hadn't been before. And she's like, oh, if you want me to take you to the doctor, I'll take you to the doctor. And he had stars in his eyes like, oh, wow, maybe she likes me. That's what it looked like. And I'm like, now, how long this lady been living next to you? And all of a sudden, she's now interested. So he didn't see that it could have been set up. He just thought, oh, wow, she's interested in me. So maybe me being there opened other people's eyes to look at Lawrence when they didn't look at him before. You know how that happens when you start dating a man, then all the women are like seemingly interested, and vice versa. So I said, okay, you want me to take you to the doctor? I took him to the doctor. The doctor said, are you family? I said, no. He said, okay, well, step out. And I stepped out, and he and the doctor talked about something. I don't know what. And then all of a sudden, Lawrence said he wanted to die. And he started talking about when somebody took $50,000 from him and he wanted to kill himself. But Kenyatta's friend, some white girl that used to stay with Mr. Lawrence, had stole the gun, and maybe it was a blessing. Other than that, he might have shot himself. So now he's asking me to take him, help him kill himself. And I never said these things about Lawrence because I don't know, I was very protective of him. I didn't even tell his daughter Rita that he was feeling this way and saying these things. I didn't know what to do, but I was praying a lot. So I said, well, what happened? I mean, you went from happy to you want to kill yourself. And he said, I want to help me kill myself. I want you to take me down to the 30th Street Bridge. I'm not a strong swimmer. And let me jump in or something like that. I said, Lawrence, I'm a healer. So I start working to heal him, laying my hands on him, praying for him, and trying to figure out what happened. I was just walking on cloud nine, feeling this euphoric feeling of happiness that I can't ever recall feeling in life. And now you're talking about help you kill yourself. Hell no, I ain't gonna help you kill yourself. Are you crazy? So after he came back from the hospital, after we left the doctor's office on 56, the doctor told him to go report to the hospital. So I dropped him off at the hospitals during COVID. You can't go in there with them. You can't check on them. You have to just call. You can't go into the hospital. So I dropped him off at the curb. They say he has COVID. He's like, yeah, we're all walking around in here. Ain't nobody got on no mask. We just in here. I said, what? And it just seemed crazy to me. So when he came back, they sent him back. They didn't give him no antibiotics. They're talking about take vitamin C and Zeke. I said, I can't believe they didn't give you antibiotics. I can't believe they didn't give you antibiotics. And he said, well, if you're concerned about it, just call. And, my experience with allopaticians, when you're a layperson and then you ain't even a family member, calling is futile. So God said, go get some antibiotics. So I knew where, he told me where he left $500, his emergency stash, before he went to the hospital. So I went and got the emergency stash. He was back from the hospital. I asked Miss Carolyn from next door if she could keep an eye out on him for me while I went and bought antibiotics. I had to go to another county to get it. So I bought 3 or 4 different antibiotics and they were pricey. So I told him, I need to talk to you about something. And what I needed to talk to him about was I took the $500 and I have part of it in my possession, but I went and bought antibiotics. Um, he was getting his prescription from a place that put all the prescriptions in one little pop chart, and it would say in the morning at 6 take this, at noontime take this, like that. So I knew he didn't have any allergic reactions, so I started giving him antibiotics. And they seemed to be working. He started seeming to feel better. But there was a phone call, and this is after he got back from the hospital with the COVID diagnosis. And it was Adam from Advent Healthcare and Home Health. And he said, hey, can I make a visit? So Saturday I went and got the antibiotics. So now it's Sunday. So that's not a lot of time to, you know, give improvement, but it will save your life. So every 4 hours I was giving him antibiotics. So the guy Adam said, can I come for a visit? I said, sure. Now it didn't dawn on me at the time that it seemed weird that 2 police officers came with him. I'm assuming they were police officers. Maybe they were security guards from a facility. That I think about it. I think they were police officers, though. So they came in. Adam, the white guy, he's taking all of his vitals, and all of his vitals are good. The only thing that Adam said was low was his O2 saturation. And I didn't have an odometer to check his O2 saturation, but Adam gave me one. He said his O2 saturation is at 51%. I have to take him back to the hospital or he's going to die. Now, looking back on it, I think it was a lie. I think some kind of way they rigged that little machine that you put on your finger. And I was looking to Lawrence to tell them, no, no, you're not taking me. I'm going to stay here. You check on me tomorrow, or you send a nurse that can be here with her to help take care of me, but I'm not going anywhere. But Lawrence went along with it. And I'm not a family member, so I have no say. I'm not his nurse, I'm his girlfriend, right? So he said, Lee, where's my wallet? I said, it's in here in the drawer. Do you want it? He said, no, you keep it. And he left with Adam, the registered nurse from Advent Health, and the two police officers, or the two fake police officers, or the two security guards, whoever they were. They left in a non emergency ambulance, and I never saw Lawrence again. The next thing I heard is that Lawrence died. And I had to be quarantined for 14 days, so I spent those 14 days there at his house. And then I got a text that said from Rita, but I think it was Rita. I think it was Donnie Dwayne Flowers playing with the phone. Because whenever I went over to his house, because I felt a little unsafe one night, it felt like somebody was walking around in the roof again. And I was there by myself. So it's like, bitch, if you fall asleep and these motherfuckers come in here on you, you got a problem. And I didn't feel comfortable sleeping in the room, so I tried to sleep in the living room so that I could hear and watch. And one time before, when Lawrence and I were there together, I said somebody was walking around in the roof. He said, oh, it was probably a squirrel. But at that time, God was telling me, don't sleep in the bed, lay on the floor in front of the door. So if they tried to come in the room on me, they couldn't get in there because I was laying on the floor against the door. But Lawrence said, yeah, continue to sleep on the floor against the door. And I thought that was weird the way he said it, because he said it like he didn't mean it, like it threw something off. Now, this is me looking back on this situation that happened in 2020. So I went to my friend's house, Donnie Dwayne Flowers. And I always left the keys on the ottoman, the phone on the ottoman, my pay card on the ottoman, because Donnie was a surgeon at Tampa General. So there's no need for him to steal from me. He already has money. He already has status. He already has, a nice car. Now, the house didn't fit the life of a surgeon, but his sister was sick and had just recently passed away. So I didn't know his situation. He kept talking. Did he talk about a house in West Palm? What's that? Tampa Palms. So I figured he probably had another house somewhere else. Maybe this was his sister's house. It kind of looked like a museum. It had a lot of antiques in it. It looked like, when you get rid of furniture, you put it up against the wall. And it looked like nice furniture. So it wasn't junk. It's just that it was like a storage unit, like many things from other houses were being stored at that house. But I think now that Donnie was going into my things. I now think that that $700 that disappeared off of my pay card, Donnie stole it. I now think that and I'm going over many years because I met Donnie in 2017, when $100 was taken off of Johnny Will Lofton's card when they put a boot on my car. This was like December. I was down at the courthouse filing papers, and they put a boot on my car, and they talking about back in 1993 you got this amount of tickets, and that's why we're booting your car. I said, are you crazy? And it was like 5 or 6 tickets. And so I had all my stuff in the car, and this happened around 4:51, and I think it was like a Friday. So I said, well, I went to Donnie's house and said, I need you to follow me for them to take my car to the tow yard, because they put a note on it and they're telling me they're going to tow it. So I'm calling the number on the flyer, talk with the city of Tampa division that put the boot on there. And he's saying, oh, if you pay 2 tickets and the boot fee of $100, we can take the boot off. I said, man, I ain't got nothing. So I went to Donnie to get something. Donnie was on the phone and he was not trying to get off the phone. So I just left. I jumped on my bicycle that I had at Donnie's house and I went to get help. There was I think he's a Haitian pastor that lives around the corner from Donnie. And I went over there and asked him if he could take me to Johnny Will Lofton's house because Johnny Will Lofton, he's a Virgo. Earth signs, they always got money, but they're very stingy. If they give you money, they want half your heart and 15 favors to give you anything. That's an earth sign. If I were you, I wouldn't really take much from an earth sign. And it seems like Harold's different. But is Harold different? I don't know. They're very quiet too. So is Harold an earth sign? His birthday is in December. So that's either Capricorn or Aquarius. I think he's a Capricorn though. And that's weird because Harold doesn't seem to fit that mode. But I don't know. I haven't been around Harold in 30 years. So that's a sidebar conversation that I'm having out loud. So I go to Johnny Will Lofton's house, and Johnny Will Lofton's like, no, I'm not giving you nothing. And, if you argue with Johnny Will Lofton, he might give it to you, but he didn't. So I went back downstairs. I told him, I have this guy that brought me over here. I don't know him, but I went and asked him for help. And when I got back in the van, the man said, what did he say? He said, if you give me some pussy, I'll give it to you. And I told him no. And I just started praising God and saying God is going to make a way, la, 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 la. And I got in the van and the man took me back down to my car. And I just prayed. So God made it so, how did I end up? I think I called Donnie and Donnie came down there. And the man said, oh, Donnie said, well, if you can pay 2 tickets, then you can pay 1 ticket and they let you go. If you can pay 1 ticket, then they can let you go with you just paying the boot fee. And so I thought, okay, well, I guess he's right. So we started negotiating and got down to $100. Donnie handed me a card. Angola had her iPad, and we were right there at the courthouse. We went into their free Wi-Fi and paid the $100. And they took the boot off my car. Donnie didn't seem happy for me, which was weird. So not only that, the guy gave my daughter $50 for Christmas, and that was really kind. So time went by, and I went to Johnny Will Lofton's house, and he was saying that he didn't know what this $100 charge was on his car. And I said, I think that Donnie is doing fraud on your card. And he was like, no, Lee, that don't even make no sense. How would he be able to do that? Now, Johnny Will Lofton, he always leaves his door open. And one day I saw a black Mercedes van going through River Pines. I was laying down in the living room because Johnny Will Lofton and I were arguing for some reason a lot. And I didn't want to lay next to him in his bed, so I was sleeping in the living room on the floor, and I saw that. And I said, well, why is Donnie coming through here? And he went down to where the L building is, where James Johnson lives. And I was like, well, he never came from back there. I was like, well, damn, is he and James Johnson seeing each other? All kind of crazy shit was coming through my head. Why is he even over here? Now, you know how many black Mercedes minivans they make. Why did I think that was Donnie? I don't know, but I thought it was him. I never saw him come from back there, so I thought, they done hooked up. There are men on the down low who date other men. And I never said anything to James Johnson because I was no longer going to James Johnson's house. I was now hanging out with Johnny Willoff. And by this time, Lawrence was allegedly dead. That's how I ended up at Johnny Will Lofton's house. After Lawrence died, I needed $5 to get me some pantyhose and a headband so that I could go to Lawrence's memorial. It's Jehovah's Witness. They don't really have funerals. They have like these little gatherings to remember the person. And I planned to go even though I didn't go. So I said all of that to say I think that $100 came off of the card. But the card that Donnie handed me said Donnie, even though I think it was connected to Johnny Will Lofton's account. So when I told Alex this, Alex explained to me that you can get a card and put somebody else's name on it, but in the strip, it's connected to another person's account. So now I'm starting to learn a little bit about how hackers do things. And I was like, whoa, that's amazing. So all of that explanation was to tell you that the three people that I really trusted that kind of disappointed me was Thomas Stewart, Donnie Dwayne Flowers, and Lawrence Alexander Cambridge. So now I understand that people ain't shit and we all can be manipulated by the devil. So that's the main point. So, young children, y'all probably ain't listening to me ramble. These are just my healing gabbing sessions, basically. And it gives me an opportunity to look back to see how many red flags I missed. And how do I teach my children to be very observant? For one, if you're trying to take somebody seriously, you really need to hire a private investigator and check out their life for 6 months. And you almost need an investigator to follow the investigator because people are corrupt. And if they can make a little cash, they're willing to fudge the report for the person that they're following if they learn about it, for them to lie to you and tell you a false narrative. So we are in that time where you have to really try the spirit by the spirit. And you can't take anybody for granted. You can't think, oh, just because he's a judge, he's not also a pedophile. Oh, because she's an attorney, she's not also a fraud worker. I meant your attorneys, they have your information. You got to give them your driver's license and, you know, they might be selling your information to the fraud workers. Might have a fraud worker in their family that takes the names of their clients and steals their identities and, you know, so you don't know who's doing what. That's what I want to say to you. And don't put it past your mama to be selling your information. Children, and parents, don't put it past your children to be sneaking behind your back and buying properties in your name and getting insurance policies on you and paying the doctor to shoot some air in your IV to kill you so that they can get their inheritance because you look like you living too long. Trust no one, basically. Peace.